Got just a few seconds to go. Pull over my phone.
Where's spare pens?
Oh, sure.
Say that one or go grab it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Somebody else need?
Okay, so it is 9 o'clock. We'll stand and have the opening prayer by Henry Ephraim, followed by the 5 salute. Henry?
Our Father in heaven, all praise and glory be yours forever. Father, once again we're gathered here to tend to matters of government. We, your servants, pray for your guidance. We lift up our county officials to you and pray that you will give them wisdom and guidance to make prudent decisions in the matters before them today. Lord, keep us all mindful that you are in charge. Keep us mindful to reflect the unconditional love you show us. Help us to show it to our fellow humans, to our fellow county members. Lord, we thank you for the blessings you give us, the ones we see and the ones that we don't notice. And above all, Lord, we thank you for the blessing of your Son, Jesus, our Lord and Savior. It's his name that I offer this prayer, Lord. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. And the first thing on the agenda is the connecting links. Anybody want to go first? Did you want to go first, Roger? Do you have a presentation or anything? Pardon me?
I do not need to be first. Glad to if no one else wants to.
Don't all shout at once. I guess you're the winner.
Previously met with Jesse and provided him information regarding the Connecting Links program that has been in place. I don't know if anyone wants this information. But I guess before I get started with today's, hopefully everybody up there, anybody know what this is?
Silver dollar looks like.
Old silver dollar.
That's what it looks like.
Okay. Well, the story behind this silver dollar, I bought my first car in 1973. My dad threw this across the table to me. Yeah, it was July 1st is when I opened it. But threw it across the table and he says, you'll always be able to get 4 or 5 gallons of gas to get home, so just hang on to it. Okay? Well, that was 1973. July 1st of 1973, there was a little thing happened in our country known as the OPEC energy crisis. Okay? And it kind of turned the world upside down for us all. This dollar basically got me about half a gallon of gas. So, out of honor to my dad, I've carried it ever since and never spent it. Okay?
Pretty smooth, huh?
It's gone.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I guess that's part of what I wanted to talk about today. Our state back in 1925 implemented a program that they called Connecting Links. And they identified major thoroughfares throughout all of Kansas, and then they funded these connecting links primarily for the safety and accessibility to all of Kansas, not just the urbanized areas, okay? I mean, and at the time, Salina was bigger than Kansas City. So, strange times, all of that in 25. Then in the state in 25 set up where if you have any K routes through your town, you go under a direct with the state agreement for connecting links to provide maintenance and grants and so forth to operate. Well, Marion County in 1973, and that's why I go back to the 73, because the world kind of got turned upside down after that. In January, the county commissioners at the time instituted a Connecting Links program with the incorporated areas within the county. Seeing the wisdom and the need to be able to connect all of our towns together for emergency medical services, and really to support where the population was moving, because that's what started the migration from the family farm north to the cities, and then workers would go back out and work on the farms while they were still family owned. Well, that's completely changed. Now we're generally for profit. So given that, we've got a lot of discussion, and I know that you all are working with Jesse diligently to figure out the plan. How do we maintain 980 square miles, the roadways and the connectings that go on with that? So I guess I'm here just asking on behalf of the city to maintain the broader perspective that really the Connecting Links program is just a piece of the overall road and bridge philosophy that you all manage. Some of the things that are in there, you know, in 1973 the allocation was $250 per mile for the cities to maintain any of the asphalt connecting links. I'd say it's a little different today. The cost today to do a mile of scheduled maintenance, which is a mill and overlay on a 8-year cycle and sealing on a 6-year cycle, the costs today are up to about $35,840 per mile. So we've, you know, things have appreciated in cost over the years. The access roads and lengths have been changed since 1973. In the previous supplied packets, and well, I see Randy's got a copy of the original ordinance or resolution. You know, things changed. The city of Marion built a levee, and what was called the old Pilsen Road, that was a connecting link, and Eisenhower wasn't even thought of. So there's been payments made for one road that dead ends into a levee, and another has been maintained on handshakes and agreements. And please, don't get me wrong. There's been great cooperations with each of our cities in trying to do it. But just like you, as we're trying to plan our budgets for the next several years out, there's an awful lot of uncertainty occurring. I got the census numbers for Marion County this morning, and right now we've fallen below 12,000 population for the 11,988 is what they project as of 2017 ending. So that impacts is where we're going. Everything in government, we got to be honest, it comes down to where's the money and how do we fund this, okay? This is just perspective, but the incorporated towns, the 12 of us, we represent 31.22% of all the property valuation in the entire county. Okay? If we were to throw the county lake, the urbanized area, which is actually your third largest levy producing for roads, we're about 37%. Okay? The communities contribute to road and bridge $1,155,265. That was for the current budget we're under. So it is a sizable contribution to the $3.5 million that goes on. We're asking, can it be funded by a different reallocation of revenues? Simply as you set a long-term plan, can we change the 250 to a more reasonable maintenance figure? Okay. Or another thing Jesse and I talked about, and there's a lot that will have to be worked out, but the county has equipment and resources that they own. The cities, we simply can't all go out and buy the equipment, but if we co-opt that equipment, the 6 to 8 weeks a year for chip sealing that's done by the county, that leaves 10 other months, and arguably you can't do it over the winter, so it's probably more like 6 other months out of the year. That perhaps we could put together city crews, train with Jesse's guys, so you're not using your labor, but taking the assets that are owned by your urban dwellers as well as your rural dwellers and get more usage out of it during the year, okay? And they'd have to be certified and have to be trained operators, but things that perhaps we could talk about and work it through. I broke down the road and bridge contributions so you just get some idea of what your city residents are contributing. We go from Lost Springs at 9,996 up to Hillsborough that contributes, and this is just road and bridge. This isn't any other part of ad valorem taxes. It's isolated purely to that. Hillsborough's 493,848. And for comparison, when you're charged with serving urban dwellers as well as rural dwellers, here are the township contributions all laid out for you. And I believe we go from Logan, which their contribution is $48,223 a year, up to the high, which is Center. Why can't I find them? There we go. $222,928. Page here that I put in the examples for thought. Burns, it appears they have 7/10 of a mile of connecting links. If we were to use the revised number, 3578, their payment would be $2,507, or 8% of their contribution would be coming back to the community. Gossel, contributions $55.9. They have 6/10 of connecting links, and they also have a K-link in their town. So this basically ensures the north-south access to the east-west, tying into the K-15 route. 2150, or only 3.8% of their contribution. Hillsborough, they have 2.9 miles of connecting now. It would be $103,000 payment to them, 21.4 of what they're putting in. Marion is 276, 146, 2.2 miles, or 78, 28.55. So now you get in, you can't really balance this formula simply to contributions and taxes, because we in the city need to have the connecting for the entire area. So there is going to be some disparity if you use that formulation. If you use just the flat fee amount, like the $250 formula, then you've got taxpayers that may feel like they're slightly underrepresented. So to work through there. Ideas would be asset utilization, the chip and seal equipment to the cities 3 months out of the year, formulation of a city-county resurfacing team to work in conjunction, joint grant applications to the state, to some of the CDBG money that could be available, and some of the KDOT, which As I've researched it, we've always worked independently as cities and the county, but yet there's KDOT money out there available that we could combine projects and just like the Kansas City metro area, they're on a completely different pot of money. But all of those cities work with Wyandotte Johnson in order to identify the larger projects, and they're being funded at tens of millions, where we're being funded at 300,000 independently. So looking at that. And then leveraging the KDOT engineers on a 10-year strategic and comprehensive plan. We would respectfully propose maybe steps to the future being seat an advisory board for the road and bridge that has a city, township, commission, and departmental representation on it. Based on the taxation, it'd be 2 from the cities, 4 from the townships, 1 county commissioner, and 2 from road and bridge staff. And allow them to hammer out the brass tacks of how do we take care of the gravel roads while balancing the asphalted roads or solid surface roads. What is the bridge program and how does that tie in? What do you have, 493 bridges?
285.
285, okay. You don't want the rest of it?
No.
Oh, okay. But it's a sizable process and all of the pieces have to be worked together. The board to define the connecting links and then the miles of roadway, okay? In the previous package supplied, I did put the KDOT maps for each of the cities so you would have that. Determine a rate reimbursement. Define the annual investment allocation to townships anchored into population, as well as the valuation. That's another anomaly that occurs in our county. We have townships that have very, very small populations. And when you look at the road and bridge contribution, that comes from ag land and oil on this land. But we have some taxpayers that are paying over $1,000 a year in ad valorem taxes, and then we have others paying just barely over 100, depending on population concentration. So it has to factor in to the roads and the comprehensive plan of, it'd be great to have every mile gridded off and done. We've probably reached the point we're past that. Determine an exchange rate for labor and resource access. Jesse's team, my team, we always use the FEMA guidelines. That's just a basis. That doesn't mean that's right for the 12,000 of us that call Marion home. Maybe we define a rate, an exchange, and then we can get all of these things scheduled, budgeted, and accomplished over the years. Explore and make recommendations regarding the shared asset participation. And the 3P option is the public-private sector options that are available. You know, the Kansas Turnpike got built as a private-public federal project. And there are other areas that today still fund roadways through private access and private costs. So something else we could look at. And then set a deadline for a final and formal recommendation to the Board of Commissioners for actions. We just believe that this is one of those problems that continues to build day after day. And until we at least have a path defined, it's like we're standing on the track and that train's coming. And are we going to jump off or are we going to figure out how to outrun this thing? So I respectfully appreciate the opportunity to present these ideas, pledge any assistance we can, any other additional information you would like. I'll be glad to get it to you. I did do, I can't be in business for 45 years and not crunch numbers, so.
I was gonna say, I still see a lot of information in
Oh, I've
that
got-
folder of yours.
I've got paralysis of analysis if you want it.
Thank you.
That's a new one.
And I can provide the updated numbers this morning on population and contribution that I referenced to.
Thank you.
So many questions, and I'm really thankful that I didn't get backhanded from my friend right here as I was going through stuff.
That's coming.
It is. Trouble is, it'll be a greater size backhand.
I don't have any specific questions for you, Roger, but I will say that I've been reading a lot of literature and stuff that we had discussed over the month, maybe even years now, 2 years or so, about this connecting link and how things have been, you know, costs have been going up and things like that. So, and I agree, I really like the one thing that you said in here, or I like several things, but the one thing that really stood out was, and I think it kind of fits in a little bit to some other issues that we may have, and that is formulating the advisory board on road and bridge. That kind of caught my attention right there. I think that would probably be a very wise thing for us to consider.
That ideology has been successful for the city and things like our airport board, okay? Their information is invaluable to us as in the governing body to make the decisions. The pilots, they deal with this, they know what the changing laws are. They make recommendations to us on a quarterly basis. It's worked out very well. Our museum, the library, all are on advisory boards, and then we have, you know, when we created the Parks and Recreation for the city, where the school and all came together as a new department, we have a board that provides monthly direction for action by the elected officials, and they give daily direction to the director, which is beneficial because they even put on events in the park now. So that's been important to us.
Yeah, I really like that idea. Do you have any questions?
No, just, you know, as Roger stated, we're looking for a pathway to help us figure out how to make improvements and to work together. And, you know, we appreciate the information because we need that kind of input.
Thank you for allowing us. And again, the relationship works great. I mean, Jesse's team tries to help the cities every chance he can. But just like you, we're getting to the point from a budgeting, road repairs cost so much, I just can't pull them out of the budget when something goes wrong. So if we can identify, well, I know next year for this month, that's when I'm going to have access to equipment. Now I can redo the rest of our budget to maximize leverage the most out of it without interfering with him. And then when he gets to his 6 or 8 weeks, I send a guy from my team, Larry sends one from his team, whoever else is trained, they go. Now all of a sudden, we keep blades on the gravel because we've got a team that knows how to take care of solid surface, chip and seal or seal coat, any of those things. And, you know, when we did, because we were able to get it off season, cedar, we had just a slurry seal done on that this past fall. So we got a really good price on it, okay? In season, it costs us almost 4 times what it does out of season. So this would give us the ability to coordinate on a little broader picture and everybody save money and keep your resources where they need to be. It is a tremendous help and we appreciate it, okay? But when Jesse has to pull 4 of his or 5 of his folks to help out a city, that's 4 or 5 folks off of the rural roads. Okay? So it's just, we'd like the opportunity to explore, see what the possibilities are.
I like the idea, but Jesse, you can answer this, is materials for chip and seal and all of that available in off-season?
I do my ordering in the off-season. Stockpiling takes place from the off-season to the beginning of the season. So getting your orders in is very important during the off-season. If you're too late, good luck getting any. Just, well, kind of depending on the material you get. So,
Can you be too early?
no, that's why I order in December and November to get what I need.
Okay.
But there's only a certain time that you can put it down.
Yeah.
No, I
That's-
understand
yeah.
that, but he was just questioning getting it.
And oil?
Oil gets shut off usually around October 15th is something to think about, so, yeah.
Okay.
And it may work for Hillsborough and Marion, but you go from there on down, the cities don't have enough manpower to put any people on the equipment. So that's another issue that has to be looked at.
Well, that's where Marion and Hillsborough had to step up and be part of the bigger team.
I think there's a way to work it out, to get our heads together, and I think we can come up with a plan to help everybody somehow.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Been talking an awful lot. Somebody else please take the
Yeah.
seat.
Who would like to come up next?
I think maybe a lot of our smaller cities don't even realize that we have connecting link agreements, and so it's new information for a lot of them. And so that may be where a bunch of these are. Yeah.
I see. Okay. So,
Thanks for your input, Ron.
nobody has anything else to add? Just kind of learning it?
Good to hear.
And you got the information that was handed out? Okay, okay. Thank you.
Tina, did you share the larger packets with the
Yes.
city clerks? Okay.
No, not with the city clerks. I had it in the commission packets, but I can share it with them
Yeah,
after.
That's up to you all.
That'd be great.
I'll just email it to the city clerks. Not what that I have. Did you want to see if Jesse has anything? Or?
I'll get that, but I was gonna make sure these people didn't have any questions or anything. And nobody seems to have any questions. Okay, well, that's great. Okay. Jesse, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, not this time. I'm just
Okay.
kind of looking over maps is really all I've been doing.
Okay, okay.
You got any questions for me or?
No?
And like Tina said, I think it's been kind of an obscure program for the small communities.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we send a quarterly, I think is it quarterly? Yeah, quarterly payment based on this 1973 agreement. And I think there was a time where no payments were being made for a period of time as well. So that was, they started up, I don't remember when, they started up again with the, going back and making sure they were paying those payments. But I think that maybe the desire, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is to kind of work with each city, see what the true connecting links are now, because they may not be the same as what they were, and either come up with some sort of an agreement to continue to work together to help the cities with maintenance on those, like we have been, because you have been doing that.
I've been trying to, yeah, and that, I guess that is one question I would have is, what, with all the cities, let's try to define what is actually the connecting links, because I got a lot of maps that really ain't indicating. I did my own maps of what I thought maybe might be connecting links on most of the cities, but I think that's somewhere where we need to start is find out what is the connecting links in each city. To help me.
In a lot of the small communities, the connecting link is basically a piece of the county road, which when you do chip seal, you go right on through.
Mhm.
You just did 290th, so you went right through Durham
Lincolnville, Durham.
and Lincolnville.
Durham, I have a map on that.
Yeah,
Like Lincolnville, I don't, Gossel, I don't, and stuff like that, but
because I know years ago, when I worked in Durham, the city treasurer would get a check for, what was that, 70-some bucks?
It's not very much,
And
yeah.
they'd say, what is a connecting link?
Yep.
You let me think about it a little bit.
Yeah, so the county, I think what they've been trying to do, I mean, they obviously know that that's a small dollar amount, but they've been trying to work with the cities to try to help them with some of the road maintenance as needed, but.
Just like Lehigh right now, we're chip sealing, aren't we?
Yes.
Is that a connecting
It
link?
is actually connecting link. There's actually a little bit more to that than I thought too.
But anyway, just trying to get things updated and maybe update this 1973 agreement.
It'd be interesting to know how many bodies we're talking about too in each of the cities that could help contribute.
How many what?
Well, as far as the bodies in the cities, you know, I mean, on Burns, I have one guy, you know, that, to know like, the bodies who could help with things being done.
Is Mike still your maintenance man?
Yeah, and maybe not all cities have someone that can help, so, and that's,
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, and that's kind of, you know, Burns, we've kind of come from the highway into the west and then back out to the south. Kind of has been one of our, the county's kind of priorities, always keep an eye on it, keep a lookout for, but
Yeah, I know.
we don't expect
Well,
somebody
there's
to.
just Burns, but I mean, there's other,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, as far as resource and bodies, and
yeah.
be interesting to know what's all out there.
For the last time that I've been on the boards here at the county, it's always been to try taking care of the, like what Jesse was talking about in yours, but in Gossel, we've come through there. Peabody, we've laid blacktop clear on down to the city, clear down to the city limits down there, to the bridge and co-op, things like that. We got into agreement with the Peabody Street. And so wherever these towns are, whenever there's a project, that's what been our goal to do, is to go right, like you said, the other towns you were just talking about, to go right on through Tampa. We've been through Tampa, stuff like that too. So that's been gold. Hope to keep it that way, but we also need to update this thing, because
Yeah.
it's been ugly ever since I've been here.
But I can also see Roger's point with a budgeting process. You know, we can do a lot of stuff for the county for you, but that's a soft dollar. And how do you figure that into your budget? Which you really can't.
Yeah, but, I mean, timber's going to be chip sealed early next spring. We're gonna pick up Eisenhower at the same time. And that communications and partnership with me and the supervisors is extremely valuable. It works for all of us. It's just, if I knew I could plan Cedar and then South Third, and then I know my connecting links, whatever cycle they'll be on. Now, I set up funding for the materials. You know, your volume purchases are far more impactful than my little purchases. I buy 20 tons of coal patch. What do you buy, 100 tons?
Yeah, 25 ton at a time.
Yeah.
See, there's some state statutes too, Roger. I wouldn't consider Eisenhower as a connecting link, in my viewpoint. I mean, because it's not connecting, we've got connecting links already right down the road at the Cedar Street and then coming in on South Third.
And Cedar Street has a weight restriction on it, so the state and the county identified Eisenhower, which does not have a weight limit. And now that your ag trucks are allowed to go through our cities with 90,000 pounds on them, we have to designate a heavy haul route, which is Eisenhower, to go north back up to 56. Now, if they're going to 77, they go on out 256.
Yeah, see, that's, some of the state statutes, if we go into state statutes, it determines that it's the closest link to a main highway up to the highway. It's not, you know, and whether you get 2 or 3 in your town, or 1 or 2, that's what I'm saying. There's a little bit of, when you get into state statutes, there's a little bit of difference there, what you justify as a main road, so.
Yeah, that's why an advisory board would
Yep.
be great. We can all arm wrestle and you all don't have to do it.
I think that's awesome. I think that's a good idea. Anybody have anything else? Thank you, Roger.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
You bet. Okay, so next on the agenda is Jesse with the area fuel bids.
I'll send that info out.
Will you give me a moment to go get them?
Yeah.
Yes.
Got time.
Won't be there, Al.
No, I don't think so.
You got two for this today?
Oh, thank you.
Or just
Yes, two today.
Just two.
two?
Yep.
So Jesse, area 3 on cooperative grain, what does that say? Is that 49? What is that number?
I would take it 498225.
Okay. I wanted to clarify, that's kind of an interesting number. Okay, so as I see that area 1 and 2 in cooperative grain would be the one that I would recommend, area 1 at $3,507 and area 2 at $5,040.75, and then go over to EPS for area 3 at $4,921.22.
There.
Second by Randy?
So that was a motion?
Yes. All in favor, say aye.
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 We did co-op for areas 1 and 2,
Okay,
and EPS area 3.
okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Confusing you guys.
That's okay.
Doesn't take,
That one we can split for next
doesn't
year.
take, yeah, doesn't take much though.
Okay, I have 2 permits, both of them from Mountain Ridge Telephone. One of them at the intersection of 1 Meridian and 110th for boring some fiber.
Okay.
And this 130th and Falcon boring some copper line.
Okay. And it just requires a signature, I assume.
Yes.
Okay.
Both of them good companies to work with.
Yes, Mountain Ridge, yes.
And follow up.
Yes. They usually even call me and tell me it's done.
Did you want to review it at all?
No.
Did you? There's that one,
Just-
Tina.
Just like to make sure they're doing things that they know they have to do.
They've been doing this for a couple of years now.
I think so. Anything with this one? No. Thank you.
The reason being is, as of last week, we had a guy still digging without calling 911 or 811 to get a locate to
Oh,
dig.
really?
Yeah, not in this company, not a company like that, it's a private individual, but just amazing. They hit her gas line.
Mm-hmm.
They just ignored the flies or didn't even call?
They didn't call.
Do they get charged then?
They will.
Yeah. Idiots.
Yep.
Even if they call and they don't observe the canvas digging rules, they can still get charged, you
No.
know. But still, it's just ugly when you pull up on a scene and you never heard nothing about it and they've cut your line. No locates around or no nothing. Did you call? No, you didn't think they have to do.
Is that Hillsborough?
That might have been.
I think I saw your truck.
Okay. Might have been.
Okay, just 2 deals, just want to inform you 3 about. I got a hold of Norm Bowers. He will be visiting our county come October 26th. I have called him and asked him to come take a look at some of the roads in our county. And today I need to supply him with some information he needs to prepare for this, so I'm gonna be doing that. And with that, also, I've heard talk about engineering services, maybe an engineer for the county. I would like to, this month, I don't have a date, I need to call them, I would like to invite Kirk and Michael down. They represent many counties, I think 7 to 9 counties in this state they do engineering services for. I would like for Kirk and Michael to come down, kind of give us an update on the wind farms, as well as talking to you three about what kind of services they provide counties with engineering and how much they possibly could charge a month and stuff like that. Just kind of give you three some options and stuff, something to look at.
Okay.
So, if you don't mind, I'd like to invite them down sometime this month.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, so as far as that goes, that's all I have for you.
Do you have anything else for him?
Nope.
Do
I
you have
guess,
anything else
what,
for
you're
him?
gonna have bids on more
Next-
next week?
Yes, I will have more bids next week.
Are they,
On Monday.
are they gonna be available right away, do you know?
Right now, they're telling me 60 to 90 days out.
Really?
Yes,
I thought maybe it's something we could put right on the road.
me too. I was too. We do have one batwing going right now. We're working on 2 boom mowers right now to get them up and going. So we're trying to keep something live right now, keep going. So I was really hoping that these would be, you order them or bid them and then
Well, I
you
just
get them.
figured that something would be available.
So they're all telling us 60 to 90 days.
I did think of a question. Last week, I think I asked you about 3/30th, that Darren was gonna go do some testing on that, and you were gonna,
Yep.
he was gonna give us some information
You-
that day, or,
Yeah, he was gonna get with me Thursday last week, and he still hasn't got with me on the board. So I'll call him again and find out when he's gonna do
he
that. I
must be very
apologize.
busy.
I've seen him all week in Hillsborough on that
Oh,
Main Street.
milling over
Yeah,
there.
he's working on it.
He has. I've been seeing him there, but
Yeah,
that should be wrapping up here.
Should be getting close.
Yeah.
I know that's what he was doing last week.
I did have
The
that.
nice thing is he has reported all this to the right people, to Terracon as well as Burkamp, so it has been put into where they are aware of it before that year is up. That's one nice thing, but we still need to get in there and get the board done and find out if it's the base or just the top asphalt.
I was up in Marion, Diane.
Yeah.
But I didn't look at those cracks, or what the cracks doing it from 15 to get Tampa. Are they just sitting there, or are they getting bigger, or are they doing anything? Or
You know, I haven't looked from 15 to Tampa, you
Yeah,
say.
right.
Are they getting bigger?
Well, that's what I'm asking. I
I
haven't
don't
looked at
think
them.
they're getting bigger.
Okay.
I
Not
don't
right
think they're
now.
there. I didn't notice anything expanding, no.
Now, as far as that, all these roads, once it gets a little bit cooler, they'll start expanding. You know, they'll get just with the temperature. So, and this fall will be a great time to go in and chip seal, or not chip seal, crack seal. So,
And does that come with a tar type?
yeah, it's like
not
a
just oil. it's-
rubbery tar type stuff.
Okay.
Shoot in the cracks, clean them out first, and then shoot it in there. That's why you see all the black squiggly lines out on Sunflower going south. Just that's
That'd
like
be
a
good.
tar, yeah.
Okay.
Was there some cracking there close to Chisholm Trail on 330th?
Yes.
Because I had a guy call me and he says out walking and he noticed it.
Yes.
And I said, I think that's been identified, so.
Yes. There's multiple ones, yes, on the
Yeah.
Roxbury Road, yes. Okay,
Anything else?
that'd be it.
Okay, that's all we have. Thank you, Jesse.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Well, I doubt that Bud could come any earlier, or can you just call him, or?
I told them, yeah, they got it.
Yeah.
Usually has tons of
Yeah.
stuff.
They're not here.
Do you wanna do administrative now?
Sure.
Or do you want me to call them? Since the engineer is coming, I probably won't be able to change that, but if you want me to call someone else, see if the sheriff can come, or we could do
We can go ahead and do
Evan.
administrative if you're ready.
Okay. Okay, so far, first I have the minutes of September 24th and the minutes of September 28th.
Okay, so the minutes of September 24th, do I have a motion to accept them as written?
I make a motion to accept them as written.
Okay, got a motion by Randy to accept the minutes of September 24th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Kent. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now the minutes of September 28th. I will refrain from that since I was not here, but do I have a motion for the minutes of September
I'll
28th?
make the motion to approve the September 28th.
Got a motion by Kent,
Second.
second by Randy, all in favor say aye. All abstain. Motion carries.
How are you doing, Clarence? Absolutely.
Yes, and as a town, did two things at one time. Seems like every year that flu just gets worse and worse and worse. Or maybe it's we get older and older.
I think we're getting older.
Whatever. It sure gets harder to handle.
It's exhibit every season.
That's not good. So the sheriff has chosen another vehicle?
He's on the agenda, so he's gonna come and talk to you. And I'm gonna hold off on that early check until he talks to you,
Okay.
if that's okay. But I do have some other administrative business. I've got
Okay.
change orders and supplements. So one section of these does need signatures.
And one section is just for review.
Yes.
It's a major event.
If they come to fisticuffs.
Need to see your socks.
Signatures.
What's the latest time to get an article in the paper today?
What's the latest we can?
Yeah.
Why do you ask?
I just asked.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because
Just a little flat ad in the for sale stuff.
Oh, okay. As far as that goes, yeah, you could probably get this any time today would
Okay.
probably be all right.
I'll try to get it right after dinner.
Okay, yeah.
Isn't your copy deadline like 5 o'clock or something today
Well-
for those kind of things?
I guess it's a little bit fluctuation, but like for me personally, I know my schedule's a little different from
Right, from the-
Sherry. Yeah, Sherry's the one who handles all of that, so.
Diane, I already talked to Randy and Kent about this. Just a reminder of this October 3rd Economic Development meeting at the city. There's a little reception for the people invited at 4 o'clock, and then at 4:30 they're doing that presentation. Randy Collett is looking for an RSVP. Is that something that you're planning to attend
Tomorrow,
on the 3rd? It'd be Wednesday.
third. Oh, I'm sorry, that's tomorrow's Tuesday. I think I can go ahead and attend that.
Okay.
Well, I know I can, yes.
I'll go ahead and make a note of that and let him
Okay,
know.
perfect.
And then also a reminder of the senior citizens luncheon coming up. I do need to have a RSVP turned in next week for that, so that's on the 18th, I believe. The meals, tickets are $5.25. Is that something that you're all gonna be able to
Yeah.
attend?
Let me know.
Okay.
when's the deal? Is that the city's overnight?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
If it's
October
the same
18th.
one that they had last year.
And it'll be right over here. So sometime you said yes?
Yeah.
Sometime I'll just need your $5.25. Randy, are you planning to go?
Yep.
Okay.
So I had an additional that same day.
On the 18th.
Yeah, but I'm gonna have to decide which one.
Okay, you can let me know next week.
Okay,
That would be great.
great, that'd be great.
Usually the chairman does some sort of a welcome, and so if you're not available, then I imagine Kent as vice chair would be the one doing that for you. So,
Let me, I'll see what the agenda and all that stuff is on the cab and
I
stuff.
put a tip in there.
Okay, I see that. Okay, I'll put it towards the scholarship. Okay. A few weeks ago, you had discussed the two properties that the county picked up in the tax sale that are within the city limits of Marion. And at that time, you had no objections to turning those properties over to the city. And so I do have a deed, which would deed the properties to the land bank, if you're ready to go there. And I do need to have official action to actually convey that. So a motion and a vote, and then to sign the deed.
Do we have to sit there and say it? Did you have anything you wanted to?
I guess I don't remember them, but which ones it was?
Okay, well, this one right here is, well,
I
it's
can show
the
you.
description here, if that means anything to you. Read that description.
It's a Buyer's Edition. It's an empty lot. Anybody know?
I don't know.
And I'm working with Susan on all our other properties to get them advertised and ready to go. So they'll be, November 8th is the first day that we can actually sell any of
The
those.
City of Marion asked for these.
They did. They asked for them, and we talked about that several weeks ago, and that nobody had any objections to them getting them. That I can show you what they look like. It's just two, I think it's two vacant pieces of land.
Is it? Okay. All right.
I don't want to misspeak. I have pictures of all of these.
It was not bought at the tax sale. This is,
Right. Now, so here they are. There's the blue outline there.
Okay.
Lincoln, somewhere else in there. Where it's at. I mean, I know where it's at, but I don't know where it's at with the big.
One thing I do want to confirm with Susan, maybe we should put this off till next week, just because I know that on the rest of the properties that we cannot do it. We can't convey them or sell them or anything until 6 months after the
Right.
sale is confirmed, and that'd be November 8th. I probably should verify that it's okay to do this deed prior to November 8th.
Okay.
I mean, like this one. This is in between two houses right there. I mean, I don't understand why either one of those two properties would not.
Would want that.
Well, see, if we can convey it to the land bank, then the city can,
Do that.
they can do that. They can
Right.
take care of asking, marketing that to those landowners or doing whatever. Because it's easier for them to deed a property over than it is for us.
Okay, so here's your pictures back,
Okay.
and there's your deed back.
Maybe I can confirm that before the end of the day, and if it's okay to go ahead and do it, then we can, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I don't understand the 6 months either, but that's.
I'm sure we-
I never have.
I think it's okay because otherwise I wouldn't have had the deed given to me this soon, but I want to make sure
Yeah.
that we don't do it wrong. And then we did have that lease purchase for the ambulance, and so this is the agreement. It needs the chairman's signature in a multitude of places there where the sticky notes are.
You had quite a deal there.
And I did have Brad look that over. He was fine with it, so.
Okay.
So
Brad's
while
not
you're,
coming today?
no, he's not. While you're signing that, I will probably see if I can get a hold of Susan real quick and just verify that we can do this.
Oh, okay.
If that's okay.
Steve, you had that in your package, you want to see it next to it again?
It was in the pack.
Yeah. A little more detailed than what I expected.
And
It sure is not.
Yes.
I think Florence needs a loan.
Need what?
I think Florence needs a loan.
A loan?
The dike, the water issue, and the track,
And now they're trying to get a new city truck.
a new city truck.
Okay, and we can do that, that deed today, so. Okay. We just need to take official action to convey it through a motion and a vote, and then we can sign the deed.
Make a motion to convey the two properties within city limits of Marion there, this,
To the,
to the Marion Land Bank.
Okay, got a motion by Randy to convey the two deeds to the Marion Land Bank. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Kent, all in favor say aye.
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 okay.
Done deal.
Now I'll just have you sign right there.
Aye.
I do have some landowner, some hunting cards for the landfill. And so these just need board review, and then generally the chairman signs on the landowner line here at the bottom of each one of these yellow cards. Those are for youth and disabled hunting opportunities.
Kind of like a special hunting license for the old landfill.
Yes.
Yes.
Where's the old
Glad to see there's some more there too, because I've always seen one. Long time Tory, he's there every year.
Where's the old one?
Where you been? Just right down here.
Where have I been? Well, I've been to landfill. Where?
Gotta figure out one team.
We went ahead and jumped up at that.
Okay. Right down. Where do you want to chat? Here, here.
Oh, it'd be on,
Here's Almy.
The hot
right here.
seat.
The hot
Oh,
seat,
Almy.
right there it is, yeah.
so it's on the other side of Albany?
Yep, just
Okay.
go north of out of Almy, maybe 2 miles.
Yeah.
Through Union,
Oh.
them just right here.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Right on the, have them here.
Oh, yep, the,
Is
Right
that
on,
by
right on
Se-
Pawnee.
Is that by Seekers?
did you want to see
Does
anything else? I
Cedar
think
live
it all
out
the
that way?
same, but
I'll tell you,
Okay.
did you want to see the other ones?
not just names.
Okay. There was 4
It's
total.
all,
Yeah,
see,
it was
youth
4.
or handicapped.
Mhm.
This one when I'm done with it.
Yeah, it's youth or.
Youth or, okay, yeah.
You 4.
No, we don't need.
before it goes off.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I guess easy, you know, easy for them to get in and out of.
Well, yeah, that's a fun place to
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
I printed one off.
That's all I have except for the early check, which we'll do later. I did put a copy of the audit contract in your packet for you to review, and then we can look at that
This
next
is-
week.
Okay.
Need to get the county clerk to sign this before I go, but that's the only thing that I need to take with me, everything else can stay.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I forgot to do that too.
Okay, so, Bud,
Yes.
you're up.
Okay.
What do you have for
We
us?
have Jeff McCullough was called out here to go over the plans. We have the permit for the building down there. He got that approved and sent out last Tuesday, I believe it was.
Yeah. And
I
Clayton
think-
come back.
I think I'll just turn it over to him and let him
Okay.
tell you what we got.
Good
Yeah,
morning.
that's pretty much where we're at. We've got the plans and the contract documents for the bid package ready to go for the new shop and office building. We got our permit from the city last week, so we're ready to put an advertisement in the paper that it would probably go in next Wednesday's paper for the first time, and then we're kind of looking at November 12th for a bid opening to give the contractors one of the tough things for us putting together a bid on something like this is there's so much sub work and so many different pieces and parts that have to be ordered. So, you know, by state statute, you can give 21 days of advertising and bid something out, but that's a pretty quick time period for the number of things they're gonna have to get pricing on for the complete package. So we were wanting to give them closer to 30 days to put their bids together, so we were kind of looking at November 12th at your regular commission meeting, having a bid opening. I've got a cost estimate that I set in front of you that's got a front and a back to it, where we kind of tried to break things down kind of the same way that, you know, the subcontract work is gonna be broken down. You know, you're gonna have somebody that does the dirt work and the pipes and the utility stuff on the outside, and somebody who does the foundation and the building erection, and then you know, you're gonna have a lot of the interior HVAC and framing and electrical and all that stuff. So we kind of tried to break it up to make it a little easier for them to put their bid package together, rather than just doing, hey, we want a lump sum price for the entire thing, even though, you know, it's gonna be a turnkey deal. When they're done, it's gonna be ready for Bud to move in. But when you put all that together and ask for it in one lump sum price, it makes it kind of difficult. And this makes it a little bit easier for whoever the county awards a contract to split things up based on who their sub's gonna be for different pieces and parts of the project. So that's kind of where we're at. We're kind of ready for your blessing to start spending some real money. So, and it sounds like Bud's been having a few issues over there at the transfer station anyway, so we need to get this part going so he's got a place to move to whenever they start tearing his shop down now. So.
Okay. Anybody on the commission have any questions at the moment?
Yeah, I do have, I just go over the rest of it, and somebody else can go ahead for a second.
Ted, do you have any questions at the moment?
No, not right now.
Okay. So Randy, you said you had a few?
Yeah. Well, why are you putting a mobilization fee in for start with? What's that for?
That's for bringing equipment to the site and then taking it back with them. We always do that on any of our projects. That's oftentimes where the contractor will put a lot of their expense for the performance and payment bonds and the bid bond and their certificate of insurance.
If I'm setting up a highways, I mean, those are automatically 50, 60,000, I understand moving there, but
Well,
just for contractors around here for this project, and of course, if you got earthwork, you got something going on. So,
well, that and they've got to manage several subcontracts, and that's where they'll throw some money like that at, but, I mean, they put too much money in there, they're gonna be high, they're not gonna get it, so.
What's the cost or the size of the building?
The office is 20 by 20 and the shop's 36 by 36.
Two separate buildings? Or just attached in it?
Yeah.
Okay. That's it, that's all I have.
Okay.
We will put together a list of some contractors that we will send the solicitation directly to, that way, you know. We've also got plan rooms in Topeka, Kansas City, and Wichita that we always send all of our advertisements to, in addition to, obviously, it'll be in the paper here as the official record. But, we'll notify as many people as we possibly can so that we get more competition.
Good.
I've got the one guy that was at the meeting a couple months ago, I've got his business card. I don't know if you know of anybody else around here locally who, there's a lot of people who would do this for private people, but not everybody wants to deal with the bonding and the insurance and the paperwork side of it. That's way more than they're used to dealing with sometimes if all they ever do is private work.
Hungry, but I don't know anybody, just this building.
Will you have
you-
some, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Will you have a link that, if I post something on our website that contractors interested in bidding, would you have a link to your site, your plan area?
Well, I'll just send you the PDFs.
That'd
That
be-
way you can link them.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Then that way, if we do have some local people, we can get them to you that way too.
Yeah, we've kind of gone to where if the contractors will take the plans electronically, then we don't charge them anything for it, you know. Something like this, a lot of the bigger contractors that do highway work and bridge work, you know, they've got their own plotters now, so they don't even need us to print the plans for them. But something like this, I suspect we'll get a few requests for printed plans and contract documents. The contract documents with all the different, there's so many different, you know, items of work in here that they ended up being 150-some pages. Usually they're not that large, but it's also got the geotech report from when we were here and drilled the site and put the report together so that they have all the information about the on-site soils.
Another couple here. I see you got electric hot water heater, and you have any gas too.
No.
HVAC system's gonna be all electric.
Correct.
You're gonna have heaters in the shop,
Radiant floor heater.
Yeah.
radiant floor.
Yeah.
I know you see a lot of things in here that you wouldn't see if I just went out and bought this building. Like a foundation plan and a building plan, separate.
And they'll order the metal building, and then they'll get all of the loads and reactions, you know, per the IBC 2006, that is the City of Marion's building code. And then they'll have to hire somebody to do a foundation plan for them based upon those reactions. And that's what the geotech report is in the contract document, so that they have all that information and they can hire somebody to do a foundation plan for them. But that's a code requirement of the City of Marion's. So on the big building, we will design it as a steel structure. It won't be a, you know, this is probably going to be a Balin or a Morton or a Rhino or one of those pre-engineered metal building types. But you know, the big building, we will design every piece and part of it because of how it's got to break for the phase construction.
Any kind of comparison, you just told me, Bud, that you're gonna have a heated floor in there. Any kind of comparison between that and regular just HVAC system that's putting air out over in the shop? I mean, we're gonna spend $20,000 more for a floor than we are just putting the heater in.
Well, the MEP guys didn't act like it was any big deal. They had done it quite a bit before. They didn't mention that the cost was gonna be, you know.
Well, I know there's quite a bit more maintenance or quite a bit more stuff to get it ready. Now,
Yeah.
after it's done, it just depends on whether it leaks or not. If it leaks underneath, you're cracked.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I just wonder what kind of cost difference what we're looking at.
Now, This estimate's pretty much in line with the overall estimate for the entire project, so, you know, it came in right about where we were hoping it would. Of course, my estimate and how the bids actually come in are two completely different things.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how hungry people are and,
How much work they don't have.
you know.
Okay, now, on the site, we've had a notification that there's a power line in the way for the big project? Or an underground electric line?
There's an underground electrical line on the north side. Keith had, title insurance people look, and there's no easements on it, so but it's there. It runs from the transformer station over to that pole, right where we're gonna build to the north of this one, and then it goes up, so.
Okay.
That's, I don't know how deep it is,
Probably not very.
yeah, I don't know, I think.
So at this point then, we haven't done no contact with the city of Marion and haven't made
Because-
no arrangements yet?
Yeah, that would be on the big building, that wouldn't be.
Well, yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean,
No,
in
I
the scope of
haven't.
the site, I want this gentleman to know
Right,
that,
right.
so that we're working on it, so we
Sure.
can get something worked out, so you're not sitting here 6 weeks.
Right,
You get this building up and you're sitting here 6 weeks waiting for electric line to get moved when we
Right.
could be working, so.
right,
Fortunately, the building inspector is also over the electrical
yeah,
for them, so I think he's wearing multiple hats. But
right,
I'll
Right.
get with him and
Yeah.
let him know that, he already knows that, this is the small project out in front and that the other project is coming, so
right.
I'll let him know that
Well, I'm
we
quite
have
sure
a
the
conflict.
commission wants to work with the city of Marion. I mean, we're doing something there, and I mean, in my opinion, it would be that we would want to work with them so we can get something ironed out so everybody knows what's going on.
Right. Well, we've got a second building permit to get also, so.
Yeah.
So you're gonna go ahead and take care of that?
Yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Get with them. and Figure out what we need to do to get it relocated.
Yeah, that's gonna be, I don't think it's gonna be that big a deal.
Right.
It's just gonna be a cost.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any other questions, Randy?
No.
Ken?
Nope.
I think it would be, if you're ready to bid out phase one, it'd probably be good to take that as an official action to bid phase one.
Then I'll go ahead and make the motion to bid out phase one for the construction of the office at a 20 by 20 building at the transfer station. Do I have a
In the shop.
And shop.
And shop. I thought it
36,
was
36 by
one.
36.
This all together is
This is
phase
It's all
one.
phase one, okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
and I'll include the shop at 36
Yeah.
36 feet by 36 feet for the shop as well. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Kent, all in favor say aye. Aye,
Aye.
motion carries.
We'll get hung if that's 20 by 20, costs us 200,000.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I was looking at this right here too,
Yeah,
it's all
yeah,
broke down
yeah.
into
Okay.
sections.
Right.
The overhead doors is gonna be a line item, that's kinda chunky, I bet. Good size, and there's 3 of them, so.
Right.
Okay.
On this building? Yeah, actually, on that one, I looked at it, yeah.
I'll get you to sign and date. We usually always have the county clerk sign the date. The advertisement. That way people believe it's official.
When will the contract documents be
We'll,
available?
yeah, we'll fill that in, it'll probably be October 10th. Oh, did you want a copy? The building permit, your file? You got it?
Oh, the signed one?
Yeah, yeah, they've signed it.
Yeah.
I didn't make copies. I'm gonna make a copy of this.
Okay. You'll get the full book,
Okay.
yeah, so make room for that.
I gave her a hard copy of the geotech that they sent me,
Okay.
and plus she got an electronic form that they sent me too.
Did you get all those old plans that we
There,
scanned?
yep, there, I put them in a box for her.
Time capsule, right?
Yeah.
Time capsule.
That's what it was in when we unwrapped it.
I took them out of the clean trash bag that they put them in for us, and
Yeah.
put them in that box.
The mice have been at the
And they
other
all
ones.
fit in one box, so that was good.
And there weren't any pile underneath the existing,
No,
or the old
yeah,
power plant.
At least according to the prints.
Right,
Right.
yeah.
right, yeah.
We didn't run into anything too unusual in the borings either.
No, everything looked good there. Didn't even hit any water. It went down 20 foot.
Really?
But back in, what year was it? I drilled my well, hand dug it, and I hit water 16 foot at my house. But you might be a little higher over there too than what I am at my house, so. 'Cause that is up on a hill. They did build that up a little bit.
Yeah.
When are you planning on bringing us plans for the main building to okay for you?
Oh, here in probably another month or so, we'll probably have the floor plan layout of, you know, how it's going to function operationally. We've been, Bud has sent us some ideas, and we've put those in CAD, but for right now, we've been trying to hurry up and get this one going, that way
Understand?
get them working, get a contractor working on it while we're doing the plans on the other one, and then have it ready to go whenever they get close to being done with the 2 new buildings in phase 1. So.
Well, I'd just like to have at least 30 days of the plan before we bid it or something like that.
Oh, yeah,
See what's.
well, we'll have something that's, you know, more of a, you know, general layout before we go too
Right.
far
That's
doing
perfect.
the,
Cool.
you know, that'll end up being probably 30 or 40 sheets of plans. I don't know what
Yeah.
that one ended up almost being 20, so.
Okay.
But, yep, we'll be back, we'll be back
Oh.
for the bid opening on the 12th anyway, so go ahead
12th
and,
of November.
yeah, go ahead and pencil us in on the agenda if you could for that day. And hopefully we'll have all kinds of bids to open,
Hopefully so.
hopefully.
That gives them a full month to get the bids ready.
Yeah, I think they're probably gonna need some time, some of the HVAC stuff and the overhead doors and concrete work. There's a lot of different pieces of pipe. There's an 18-inch piece of reinforced concrete pipe where we're widening that driveway and doing new gravel coming out. We're just gonna go ahead and do all that we're gonna need for the whole thing in one shot while this is being done. No sense in having the same area disturbed twice.
I know I do have a couple electrical contractors here
That will want to,
they've already voiced interest in it, so.
yeah.
In both this and the
Can we
big
do,
building.
I'm sorry, the bid
Oh, that-
opening, we're not here on the 12th.
Oh,
And the third, I was thinking about that anyway, because the 13th is also the first Monday after or first Tuesday after the election. So we may need to tweak that a bit.
yeah.
That probably would have been a good thing to maybe plan that a little bit ahead of it. Unless you want to just come and be here on the 12th for just, on the holiday, just for that.
We could do it on the 9th if you want to do a special meeting for it. We did that one time.
I have no objections, whatever we have to do.
Just do a meeting just for it, special
Yeah,
meeting,
just
yeah.
open-
I have-
Or just move it to the 13th at your regular
I was gonna
business.
say
And
the
then if we
ninth-
can do the
ninth I'll be
canvas,
going.
if we can do the canvas on a different day rather than on your regular commission day, for instance, one other day that week.
Okay.
Can we do it on the 13th instead?
Okay, so we'll do it on the 13th.
And are you guys okay to do the canvas on either the 14th or the 15th? Your calendar is clear of November?
Mine, but
I just gotta be gone in October.
you're gonna be gone a week in October?
Well, except for Monday.
So you're probably gonna have to,
Yeah,
do that.
I'll revise
I
that.
don't wanna leave you alone.
Do you want me to just work it out?
Yeah, I'm available for the, 13th?
Well, the 13th is our regular business day.
Okay.
I need to know if you're available on the 14th or 15th
Yes.
for the canvas.
Yes. Are
Okay,
you?
As far as I know right now, unless they change
Yeah.
the plans.
okay.
Mhm.
I would like to try to do it on the 14th.
Okay. What- Do you have a time, or is that to be determined?
Probably
yet?
9.
Probably
Is that
9?
okay with everyone, or do we need to do it
That's
a
fine.
different time? No, this doesn't say when the bid opening is. It just says the deadline to receive it.
Oh,
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to change that?
Yeah, because you're not gonna be here on the 12th to receive anything. If they tried to bring it in rather than mailing it.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right.
Okay.
You get an extra day, put the bid in.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, thanks, bud. All right, see you guys.
Yep.
Have a good one.
Where's you two still? Or is
We're all present.
third one there? Fine.
Here. Oh, I'm sorry, bud.
And bid opening was at 9 o'clock. What did we determine the time?
On this front
I
center.
put it at 9.
Yes, I want you guys to be in there.
That's your regular meeting.
Okay, great.
Table.
Okay, what do we got?
Good to see you. Okay, now I've got the three gentlemen here from the dealers that I requested bids from for the packing machine.
Okay, great.
I'll let you guys. You haven't seen it from my bid from anybody yet? You haven't seen nothing?
No.
Okay, just,
I printed out one for each of you if you want it. And here's the John Deere.
okay.
Thank you.
Each of you is provided by spec for budget.
Correct.
You okay?
Well, I'm trying to keep it under your
You
way.
okay?
It's not weird.
I just want to copy.
Oh, just, do I make?
Sure.
On the back page, if you want.
Suppose that is a big deal, English decals with English operator.
Well, there's options, you know. If you're looking at my specs, one thing you'll notice is there's a tire listed on that page. Those do not come with it. That was taken off for the tires that he requested, the Setco sour tires.
Oh. Yes, sir. You guys still JCB's the closest to Kansas City, that's where your office is?
There's one for each.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay.
3650.
Would you mind printing your name in here?
Hey, does anybody want to talk a little bit about their piece of equipment? You want to start first? Tell us what you have.
Well, you have a 310L rubber tire backhoe loader. It meets spec by horsepower. So it's at 90, the spec called for 90, it's at 93. It's 4-wheel drive, extend a hoe, thumb on the backhoe portion, has a coupler on the front and back. And it has the forks, the Setco tires, and blade. It has like a rubber edge that he wanted on that for cleanup. And then like I said, the tires. So John Deere, I couldn't order one without tires and rims. So if you actually wanted both sets, you could add $1,000 to the cost of mine and have 2 sets of tires.
Yeah, you got the air tires and the solid tires. On the thumb on the backhoe, is that the round pad?
No, well, nobody has that. We'll have to probably just
That's
make
a
one of those ourselves. The
Okay.
thumb is it folds down, Randy, when you're digging, you pick up stuff, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Because I ordered this with a 2-foot bucket on the back because they didn't have the packer, the thing we saw.
Okay.
And I think we just have to make our own because I had looked high and low, you know.
Well, everybody
Yeah.
sort of looked at everybody that we
But,
saw.
I think somebody saw one and decided to make, I don't know. And maybe I'm not looking at the right spot either, I don't know. But, we're definitely gonna have one either made or, you know, make it ourselves or, I mean, it's something that we can,
In your specs, you wanted front porch so you could take the bucket off? Is that what
yes,
you're
yes,
doing?
that's what I wanted, yes. That way if we get something a little bit heavier than what the Bobcat can handle, we've got that.
Do you have anything else to add to the
No,
major John Deere?
No, I mean, as questions come in, I mean, I will say the John Deere backhoes are #1 in North America as far as market share. So, and Murphy Tractor, from a service and support standpoint, is very close. I live in Harvey County myself, so, you know, just next door. And is anything needed, or have a very good relationship with Jesse as another guy up here. So,
Did you put a price on yours?
yeah, it's on the
Back page?
oh.
I didn't see one.
Say, what's
You're-
the price?
It must be downstairs in the.
I got one.
You need me to make copies
Yeah.
of that for you?
Yeah.
But the final price with the extended warranty is $115,993.
With the extended warranty,
Yes, he called for 5-year,
Okay.
5,000 hour. Is it 5,000 hour?
it's what it says, 5,000 hours, yeah, 60 months to 5,000
Yep.
hours. Okay. Anything extra outstanding that you'd like to bring to our attention on this?
No, I mean, we did go above spec on a couple of things. He didn't ask for a radio. There's other things that I just felt were probably good for operator comfort that are included in there, but nothing extraordinary.
So it comes with a radio. Okay.
But I'm gonna ask you this question, and as soon as I looked at JCB's there, did you order any specific tire size for the front tires or anything?
No, I didn't because,
Because your set goes are gonna be a certain size, you got,
yeah, the set goes are gonna be sized as what's on the machine right now, you know. That's what they are. Now, I know, talking to Justin and stuff, I'll wait till he talks. Anyway, didn't order that, like we saw over in McPherson County, that's another size, that's the, I think the 4 or whatever. That's the X4 or something, where that's the same size tires on each front, yeah, it's a bigger machine, so.
Is the new diesel for you, is it gotta have DEF on it or anything? like
Yes.
that? It does have, everybody's does. There ain't no more that's without it, is there?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Do you have anything else to add?
No.
Did you want to go ahead and promote your?
Yeah,
for us?
same kind of thing. We met all specs. We were a little bit higher on the horsepower, so we had 109 horsepower. Same thing. We had the smooth ride cab. Same thing. You get the air conditioning, heat, radio. All comes fully loaded.
Four-wheel drive,
Right.
all that.
Yep. 4-wheel drive.
Class
Same
spec.
thing. We did we got the tires. We got the rubber lining on the bucket. So like I said, we met everything. A little bit about JCB, they're a little bit bigger, so that's a nice thing too. A lot of guys that use them, the cabs are a lot bigger, so they're more comfortable. And then big question we get as far as CSDK being Kansas City. Our service team's A+. Our head technician, Randy, he's platinum certified. He's one of very few in the world that's platinum certified. And in fact, whenever JCB has an issue with something on America that they can't figure out, they send it to Kansas City and have ready to fix it. And they ship back. So another good thing, and we have other techs that work for us, so we do mobile too. So if we really need to come out here, they hop in the service truck and they come right out to you. So and if we need to bring it into the shop, we have a good relationship with the tow company that we use all the time, and they'll come pick it up and bring it in, and we'll get it fixed and bring it back out to you. So,
With mobile service, with any of you guys, is it like 24 hour? I mean, within 24 hour of report?
for the most part, yeah. We had, so at CSTK, we have 4 technicians that are working for us. So if they're not doing anything in the shop, we'll send them over to you guys.
I mean, there's a standard that's expected, but then I cannot say that, oh, it's definitely 24 hours. If a machine is down, that starts taking priority and goes up. If there's just a warning or something going on, we have to come look at it, then it'll be, further down.
No, I'm talking about, heck, we're down.
Yes, then you can make every effort.
Right.
And does this also have the extended warranty on it?
It does, yeah. That price has the extended warranty.
Okay, oh, okay.
Yeah, you see it in the mock page.
5,000 miles extended
They're all
warranty.
the same.
Okay.
The only thing that I noticed on there is their foam-filled tires instead of the solid Setco, and I have a price here of the Setco tires, what it would take to put on them so they're a solid one like everybody else's.
I see, okay.
So that would be in addition to the bid?
Mhm.
So we
It
do,
would be, yep.
right, we fill the tires, so we have them filled to the filled full.
Okay.
Still the rubber tires, right?
Right, yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I call it. Okay, so your bid for your piece of equipment then is $112,407.66.
yes, ma'am.
And then to go ahead and change the tires would be an additional $11,798.37.
That's what the price is.
Okay.
So who does the labor on that?
We do.
You do. So there's expense to that too.
Yeah, when they come in, and the ones we've been doing on the skid steer, we've been doing ourselves, They come in, we jack it up, zip off the old ones, zip on the new ones, and back on the loader.
I see, okay.
So,
Do you have anything else you wanna?
No, ma'am. Unless you have any questions.
Questions?
No. Does JCB still do where you lift the machine up and walk underneath of it? Do they still do that?
Yeah. We have a guy, he's our operations manager, and they were trying to teach him how to do that. And they have the guys that do the tricks on him.
That's,
He didn't want to, he in charge
it
of
looks,
stuff.
after running a piece of equipment, it looks like, yeah, you better know what you're doing.
Right.
Okay, Mr. Foley-Cat, do you wanna go ahead and give us some of the highlights of your machine?
The 420 F2 IT model, it meets all the specs. Just like everybody else, it's got a stereo in it. It comes pre-equipped that way for the operators. The one thing on the IT model, so when you go into fork mode, you can switch from bucket to fork. So then what that's going to do is keep your load parallel. If you got something on the pallets on the forks, keep that squared up. And that's got automatic transmission. It's not a standard. Setco tires, premier warranty. Then once again, we run 10 field trucks out of Salina. Some of you know from with working with the county, depending on when you call, we can usually have a guy there same day. And even if the machine does go down, depending on when you call, a lot of times we can get there within the day or the next day. So as far as that goes, but probably all I have for now.
Okay.
I have a question for all three of you. If we do go down, and it's still under warranty, is there a loaner machine available with this?
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's
Yeah.
generally if it's something where it's gonna be down a week or whatever, absolutely, we would help you and work that out with you. If it's something,
I mean, I'm not expecting it to have the solid tires and the rubber plate, you know.
Yeah,
I'm
it wouldn't have that, but
I'm
you
just
get a
needing
machine
something, because
across.
we can push with the skid steer, we'll probably still have it, but we need something to pack with, you know, is the main thing. That's the problem we're having right now. So,
That's why we're here today.
yeah, that's why we're here today, so. Okay, that was one of the questions I wanted to ask.
I don't know, just to catch you other two commissioners, I don't know about JCB and I don't know about Deere. I suppose they have it, but I have toured, if it's still there, I toured probably 3-4 years ago, I toured Caterpillar's office in Wichita, and they have, if you wanted to, they've got the computer controls that tell, they can pull that machine up, they can look at the oil in the machine, and I suppose you guys all have that too, but I have toured Caterpillars in Wichita and seen that. That's an option. It usually still costs you money to have that done, but for the oil changes and things like that, it's all on computer. It's very, very neat that they can pull up. And when we got into that is when the graders is when we started looking at that, but it's still available for your backhoes and things too, isn't it? Yeah.
Mine actually, it does come with it for 5 years for free.
Oh, it does.
That's included.
Okay.
And of course, the price then on your piece of equipment, Foley Cat, is $133,109.25. Do you have anything else you want to add about your piece of equipment?
Nope, that'd be about it. We'll see if you have any questions.
Does anybody else have any other questions concerning this piece of equipment? Does look like they're all pretty much even in what they're providing as far as specs.
Yeah, I tried to request everything that I could think of that would make it operator friendly and you know, make it a lot better for the guys, so they're not just sitting there going, okay, you know, so.
Exactly.
I know the old joystick, the old control down in front of you, you know, it takes a while to get onto them, you know. Even after you've been off of them for a while, it takes a while to get onto them. But a joystick, it just seems like it just falls right into place, you know, and that's why I requested that, so.
The joystick?
Yeah.
How about the hand controls on that side?
No, that's the joystick. This is the old control, this is the joystick right here. Yeah. The excavator style, if you want to say that, but I know what you're talking about.
The reason why I say that is because ability to see is when you have your two hand controls out here, you got a view down here, and that's what we're going to be looking at through this.
Yeah, we're gonna, it's gonna be something that definitely has to be able to see, so. And I think all of these will be.
And you all three have a piece of equipment sitting outside we can go look at.
It might not match exactly what.
Oh, okay.
Had to drive it down from Kansas City, took me a while.
Yeah, okay. I can't think of any more questions that I would have, except we've got a 5-year warranty, and everybody seems to be the same on that. We know the tires are going to be the same Setcos. All pallets, you're going to have set pallet forks for the machine. Everyone's interchangeable, quick change, or is that just?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Quick couplers.
Quick couplers. Can't think of any questions, any more than I have, Commissioner Chairman.
Now,
Yeah.
these prices reflect that NJ, whatever it's called, NJC.
NJPA.
NJP, yeah.
Timeframe
I made
for-
sure and joined that after I found out about it, so we could get something cheaper if it ever came along.
And now, same time frame for being able to receive the equipment.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking, I don't know.
My availability as of last week is 12/21 was the date.
December 21st.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's probably changed a little bit, but I would say within the beginning. You never know. It happens sometimes. But
Depends when an order's turned in, real.
Yeah.
Also.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
Okay. did we need time to review some of
Okay.
this, or?
If, let me ask any one of you, all three of you do have another question, and if a bid is accepted today, and is there a possibility of any rental equipment until we get the machine in, if a bid's accepted today with any one of you three?
Yes.
The rental cost, what will the rental cost be?
Well, generally, so if it was my order, I mean, I could give you the quote. I'd have to look it up on my phone and tell you what it would. I couldn't do it for free, but I'd give you a deep discounted rental rate.
Same thing, yeah, I'd have to just talk to our sales manager and he can fire it.
There wouldn't be any cost.
No cost. Okay.
And what would be the period of time for delivery?
He said 12.
1221 for
I
deer.
mean, for the rental-
for the rental or for the?
You mean for the new machine?
Yes.
I would have to, I mean, it just depends when an order's turned in, but I'm end of October, November timeframe for us. I mean, and I could lock that down more. I can't really lock that down more solid until I turn in an order, but I could have a rental piece and I wouldn't charge. There wouldn't be no charge.
That's what I was wondering, what's the rental gonna cost for a month?
What we saw last time was 3,000.
Yeah, that's right, was that around $3,000, something like that?
$2,500 for, yeah.
The difference.
Coming up with the price.
Right, that all figures in.
And the rental piece of equipment would be available probably
Today.
immediately or something?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Generally, our backhoes are $2,500 a month, as stated. A situation like this, we go 50%, so it'd be $1,250.
Okay, 1250.
1250 a month.
And you're looking at about 3
3
months.
months.
So then I'm looking at, if I'm adding that correctly, at 1250 for, I'm assuming 3 months till we get down to your December timeframe, you'd be looking at about 3750 for the rental piece. Does that sound
That sounds
like
right.
I
How
have it
long?
right? 3,752.
Oh, for 3 months.
Yeah, because he said the availability would be right around December 21st.
Okay,
So you're looking at almost 3 months. At $3,750 for 3 months.
Okay.
And your rental,
I would have to call my manager, I don't have service right here, so I get that for
You
you.
don't have service there?
Not right here, not sitting.
What are you on?
What fancy.
what
Yeah.
system are you on?
This one's AT&T, we're
AT&T?
Ah, no wonder.
Yeah.
No, it won't work.
You wanna use a real phone?
What happens if we go up there and he says that to us up there, though?
Yeah. So I can, I can step out real quick and call him or find some more service.
Oh, sure, go
See if you
ahead.
can find out.
Go ahead. We'll go ahead and take the time way up.
And how quick was yours?
Run the car.
Now, that's a rubber hose?
You can get by with that.
We'll get by with what we get, yes. I'm not gonna be picky at this stage again, because again, Road Ridge, we don't wanna hold them up any more than we have, so. I haven't complained yet, but.
Well, I got 2 years.
She made you a full second copy of the price on it.
Well, they sure all look like nice equipment. Every one
Yeah,
of
they're
them.
getting nicer all the time.
Mhm.
I remember the old motivator I used to run, they had the bench seat on top of the fuel tank, and if you wanted air conditioning, you
Push
opened
the
up the back.
one, yep.
The windshield and the back window open, and then if it was no wind, you sat there and the dust collected on you, and
Yep.
yes. They are getting operator friendly, all of them.
You had a cab?
Yeah. I like that, I had a cab. And don't laugh, because they wanted us to take a cab off in the summertime so we could grade underneath the hedgerows. And that was not fun. I knew, I'm not taking my cab off. No matter how hard it is, them arms sticking up there always catch a tree limit. I ran one when I worked for Noah that had the cab. You had to be on your toes for that.
Joe's probably still somebody that take care of that. He would.
Well, it had no brakes. He said, you got brakes. You got a big one there.
Yeah.
Either put it in the tire or put it on the ground. Okay. Didn't worry about it on the jump site. It was heading from one jump site to the other. So.
I don't know how far away you had to go to get reception.
Yeah. Head to town.
Back to Kansas City.
AT&T just doesn't work very well around here. I don't know very many people that are happy with it. Do you have AT&T?
What?
Do you have AT&T service?
No. Verizon.
Yeah.
The home phones are still, landlines are AT&T, aren't they?
Mine's Verizon.
Yeah, but
But does AT&T still maintain that office?
No.
Yeah.
It's a little box.
Yeah, you just sit in your
I mean, in the city of Marion, they still have that office.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
he's back.
While we're waiting here, I dumped the new bin that we put up at the elementary school the other day. It had been there about a week and we had 640 pounds in it. I haven't got around to checking Peabody's yet to see if it's full. And one of the blade hands down there was gonna give me a call. He's gonna look at it because he was operating out of the shop area down there. So. But haven't done anything with that one yet. And Hillsboro's not ready for theirs. Tabor's getting close, but I talked to Larry and he's not quite ready for the one underneath the water towers.
Well, that's good.
But now whether that, drops from what the city picks up or what, I don't know. We'll look at it.
Well, the Facebook post got 1,800
Yeah.
reads. It's going out in today's utility newsletter, so you'll have press on it, so.
Right. Well, I contacted Roger and told him it was there and he had already seen it. And was ready to go.
Awesome.
What's on Facebook?
Recycling thing at the time.
Have you heard anything else on the pricing of recycling or anything like that? Is anything
It's
changed?
still no rebate now, but they're still accepting it. And everything that I'm reading in the articles that I'm getting, they are positive. I even saw where China's coming over to build a recycling plant in South Carolina.
Sorry about that, I finally got it.
What'd
Yeah,
you
so
get?
we do have a piece that we build lunch and we do it for $350 a month. 350 bucks.
Okay. Okay, so.
I'm just gonna recap what I have here. To me, is Deere bid, and I don't know if I'm exact dollar, but just roughly, Deere will rent us a piece of equipment for $12.50 a month, so we figured 3 months. On top of that, that to me added $3,600, so roughly $119,600, something in that neighborhood for probably number low bid. Number 2 bid to me was JCB for $124,000. They'll rent us a because that, put the $12,000 for the tires on, Setco tires on, unless $12,000 would come off, due to the tires taken off. I mean,
So if we, so that machine will come with those tires, and like I said, what we do is we fill them, so they're not gonna be here, they're gonna be filled.
okay, but you wouldn't
But
take
they're
the
not.
12,000 off and go back to your original bid price for the Setco tires on?
I would have to talk to
Okay.
Andrew again.
Just
Yeah,
asking.
sure. No,
Just
good,
asking.
good.
And then number 3 would be Caterpillar at $133,109, and no cost to run the machine.
So I come up with basically the same thing you did, $119,743.
Okay, you got
With
the
John Deere, John Deere, yes, I did, and then his, with the changing of the tires and the $350 a month, come up to $125,256. So I'm with you, Randy, low bid is John Deere, by several $1,000 for the complete package. So are we ready to make a decision, or?
You have any comments about any of the three?
No. I think whichever one we get is gonna be just fine for us.
With that being said, and I can't discredit any one of the 3 machines, that's why I'd like to see the 3 bids on all of them. And I guess with that being said, that John Deere with a low bid of $119,600 would be what I'd like to make a motion for the county to purchase.
Okay, so I have a motion by Randy for the low bid of the John Deere at $119,743. Do I have a second? Second by Kent. All in favor, say aye.
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 But I would like to say thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
submitting.
Very much.
We're down, we need to get started on machine, and we're gonna get started on our building and stuff, so we might as well buy something. That's why you're here.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And please come back for the next bid.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you
Yeah,
guys.
nice to meet you.
Thanks for submitting.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, have a good week.
Packer machine for the transfer switch.
The crane is no longer.
Yeah,
I heard.
It's shot. We're borrowing from the road and bridge right now.
Oh.
So anyway,
Okay, Bud, what else do you have for us?
I don't have anything right now.
You don't have anything?
No,
What's all those in that tube right there?
that's my,
Carried that in here,
these?
yeah?
No, Chad gave this to me. This is the plans. You want them?
Mm,
That's his hidden
very
I
soon.
have one question.
Go ahead.
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
do you have something ready to go?
I just would like to, before we go too much further, we know what we've got coming up here with this financing for the building and stuff like that. And I'd like to see what we can do with financing, whether we're gonna have to go out and either
Well, I
pay
was going to
bids.
tell you that once we have the plans or have the engineer's estimate, before you take action to bid that out, you are gonna have to have your dollars in place to be able to move forward.
Yes.
So-
Yeah,
So
that's-
that you don't do anything illegal.
Well, and within regards to that, whether, I know we could pay for this today and for the 100, because that's what our money's gonna say back for, some is equipment and buildings, but, whether we want to or not, whether we, that's
Yeah.
just.
Do you want
make our
finance?
decision.
We could put it out on a lease purchase.
Yeah, so that's up to us, but I would like to go into that sometime here, get us on
The
agenda.
environment's still fairly favorable on lease purchase, although the rates are moving north.
Okay.
Are you wanting me to check on them? Or-
What?
No.
No,
No.
we'll have it on team.
Okay.
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 See where that fund sets, and so we can look ahead.
All right,
That's all you have, Bud?
that's all I have.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Bud.
Mhm.
Don't get me.
I'm not gonna
Next, we have
I
Mr.
did
Sheriff
Roger.
Kraft.
I'll wake him up.
Take the hot seat, sir.
Morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, it's not tragic today, because it's not pink, it's purple today. If it was tragic, you could bring pink.
Oh, I'm sorry. The speaker recorded.
Just a couple of things.
I do have an executive session that I will ask for at some point here, probably at the end. First thing, I want to verify and clarify the things that we discussed several weeks or a couple of months ago about some building equipment that we were going to see about replacing with the building heating and cooling system, HVAC. I've got a quote for that, and I wanted to throw that your way and see what you think on that. Two quotes, $34,456 and $39,803. $34,000 was non-UL compliant, $39,000 was UL 864 and UUKL compliant installation. I would request to go to the UL compliant at 39, and as I understood, this would come from the escrow funds that were left from the jail project.
The half-cent
Yes.
sales tax, yes.
Yes, and that would allow KVK access to control the system rather than BCI out of Kansas City, which is no longer a viable option for us.
The UL compliant, that's an electrical term, right?
Correct. Underwriters Laboratory, and so the installation and everything would be compliant with
I'm
standard
surprised
safety.
anybody would have one without that.
I don't know what non-UL compliant installation would be.
Can't imagine.
I'm really not sure, but I would prefer to go with UL compliant that is in safety and would probably be a better system.
Did you verify with the one that was non that it actually was non, or just something they left out?
It states non-UL.
Okay.
Tell me, Rob, what are we bidding on? Just controls only?
No, controls, some systems, let me see. Replace all controllers currently attached to the building HVAC system with a different model of controller, room sensors, install macro web-based interface device, which would do away with their interface device that's web-based through the Kansas City, which is our big concern is that they've got it locked down. KVK can't get in to make necessary changes and adjustments that we need to without getting a hold of them, and that's extremely difficult in most cases. So that's the big part of this. 9 RTUs, 2 MAUs. For controls, recontrol of existing fireman smoke control panel. So several things that are all tied in with that web-based program that goes to Kansas City that would be brought back into a company out of Wichita, I believe, that KVK is very familiar with, works good.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but what started this was we have air conditioning on and it cools it down to 70 degrees, sometimes lower than it needs to be, and then the heater kicks on, and
I can go from one to the next within a matter of seconds.
yeah, and in the middle of summer, we don't need a heater
In
on.
the middle of summer, I felt heater on, and in the middle of December, I feel the air conditioner.
Yeah.
And we've split those, there's supposed to be a 6-degree variation in there. But for whatever reason, it'll go, and then I'll go into one room and I've got an air conditioner, I'll go in the next room, I got a heater on, and we're just fighting each other all the time. It's not very cost effective, and equipment wise, I'm sure it's running the heck out of equipment.
Yeah, I just don't need
Do we have any idea of what kind of cost savings we can get out of changing that?
I have not gone into that.
But it'll be even more comfortable just to get it straightened out.
It will be more so like your house where you can manually turn it to heat or manually turn it to cool. So you're not fighting both systems in there.
And with this being our main goal here, what kind of warranty do we have? That something like that would have?
5-year warranty. With our current system, we've exceeded all warranties in everything we've got. 5-year warranty on all reliable control brand equipment. 1-year minimum on all other devices and sensors. Includes manufacturer stated warranty. 1-year labor warranty.
Will this allow everybody to have access though?
No, we will still have limited number because there's 9 different controls, so 9 different HVAC systems on the roof. So each HVAC system would have a separate control like they do now, but they would just be changed out instead of the.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is every employee that's over there can walk by and reset it.
I would have to determine the
I was gonna say,
ability
you
to
might
lock
wanna-
that down. I mean, right now, currently, we can lock it down on the computer system, and
Okay.
it has a variation that we open it up to, so you can crank it up to 100, but it's only gonna go to 75. And you can crank it down to 50, and it'll only go to 70, so you can lock those controls down.
Okay.
And these bids was obtained through you, or?
KBK researched a couple of companies that would have the abilities, and
The non-UL was 34 something? Is
yeah,
it?
34, 4, 56 is one option. This is through 5-star, and then the 39, 803 are through 5-star reliable controls, so they're kind of coordinated together.
And offhand, Tina, do you know what roughly might have in that?
I don't have that,
Okay.
right here. I didn't know that he was gonna be asking about
Okay.
that, but I know that this is one of the expenses that he discussed at budget
Right,
time, that
right.
we had talked about him being able to pay from there, so I know we have enough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if I recall, I thought it was like roughly 3.
That was the estimate. I don't have a current up to date.
It was quite a bit.
Recollected in mind, it was something that needed done. We've been operational 7 years, and it's, some of this stuff just started to show wear.
My next question is, Tina, that figure is set for the payoff date, so we're not hurting, breaking no laws by taking some money and paying for this now.
No, we've already defeased our bond. I mean,
Oh, okay.
everything that's
Okay.
to do with the bond
It's
is
been
all
met.
done.
It's been
Mhm.
met, right?
Yep, it's all in the hands of the bank now, so.
Okay.
They give you a time frame as to when they can install some of this, if whichever one.
I did not ask
Okay.
for a specific time frame
The
until I got
KDK is usually
more.
pretty quick in there.
You probably wanna get it going this winter, I
I would
think.
like to.
Okay.
Well, I would make the motion to go with the second bid of $39,803 for this equipment for this jailhouse.
With the ULA compliant? Yes. Okay, I have a motion by Randy to accept the $39,803 bid, ULA compliant. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Kent. All in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you. Another thing that we discussed at budget time with some of these was the car cam video system that was installed in the building and was replaced. We have done that because last time at budget time you said yes, and I just wanted to make sure that had been done, or let you know that had been done. And operational now, so each car has a new camera system. Each officer has a new body camera system. The interface, the county attorney has looked at it and is very pleased with it. So the court will be much happier if we're back in operational with that.
Good.
Good. One thing I didn't ask about that has come up on numerous occasions is a spare second, or actually be a third, hard drive for jail control systems, which would control the doors and the movement of inmates in the building. We have 2 systems, one in the jail control room and one in dispatch, so it's a redundant, each one can control. We do not have a spare hard drive, which if one of those goes down, and it has on occasion, and so then only one of those systems is operational, whether it be in dispatch or in the jail control room. I would like to, and I've got a price for a second or a spare hard drive that we could just plug and play. When one system goes down, that it will instantly get our other system back up. It was, the price for that was $3,300 and $33.25. $3,325 for a spare hard drive, which will allow us to maintain on them. So currently SWC comes out of Alabama, who is the jail control system. They're good, they're here within a week, but we're still down without, and they're used all over the country in their jail control systems.
So is that just a generic hard drive you can buy from anybody?
No, it has their control systems on it. It has our system, which is basically unique, because our system is different from any other jail. And number of doors and the controls under the doors and the lights. No jail is built exactly like ours, with the same doors in the same location. So they're all built for one system.
So that's not really something we can bid out.
That's right.
No, it would have to come from the SWC to make with their system. That's just something that I would like to have on site, if the availability is there.
Do you ever come to where you feel like, is ours operating really well right now?
Today it is, and seems like it goes good for a while, and then we have a malfunction somewhere in the control. So we lose either dispatch, and typically what we do is if we lose dispatch, then we go, or if we lose the jail control room, we'll take the piece from dispatch so that they don't have control and put it into the jail, so that the major control is back in the jail. So then dispatch loses the control. We try to keep the one operational back there.
And you still only have two spots, you can either from the dispatch room or the control center room. What, I don't know, probably asked this question when we built it, but if there's ever uprising in our cell, in our jail, they get in control of the center office room, control center. What's our options on the outside of this
There is an alarm system that can be pushed from dispatch or the jail control room that will lock all doors and maintain a lock on them. There's only a couple of us that have access once that happens, so that they would be contained wherever they are in that building.
Right. Forgot what we did have for that, but I was thinking whether this.
We have safeguards in place for that, if they would ever get out.
That's separate from this.
Yeah, that's a separate, it's all part of the jail control system.
Okay.
But it's a separate issue.
The reason why I'm asking that is, say we just had a breakdown and it went down in the center control room, so we take the one out of the dispatch room, we put it over there, then this uprising happens, do they have full control then?
The only control would be wherever we place that system.
That's what I'm saying, the only control.
Dispatch would not have control, or vice versa, if we left it in dispatch, then the jail control room would not have control. The ability to lock it down would still be there. That's a separate system.
Okay.
It's part of their system, but it's a separate control.
I think you understand where I'm headed, is that I'm worried about if we don't have one on the sideline, that we would possibly have the only control in the center, which can be.
Right, and we lose a lot of other functions because if the jail staff is back there working, they'll transfer control to dispatch, who can monitor them around the building, around the area back there. And if there was a problem, dispatch would not be able to allow others to enter.
Right.
Just because they don't have control. So it does create an issue with that.
So this is rather mission critical, you'd say?
It is, at times it doesn't get used, but I know in the past, I'm thinking probably a dozen times we would have used it since we've been operational.
So what is the desire of the commission? Do you want to go ahead and?
I have to go along with, just trying to realize the importance of it. I think that's probably something else that can be purchased out of that fund is what you was headed for.
would ask that.
I'd make that motion, go ahead and purchase for $3,300.
$3,325.
Okay, so I have a motion by Randy, go ahead and make the purchase for the hard drive, spare hard drive. So do I have a second on that motion?
Second. I can't second.
No, you can't. Okay, so second by Kent, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
The third thing was the van.
We have not talked about that.
Okay, you're aware our van was wrecked a couple weeks ago or a week or so ago. Due to no fault of our driver. He was coming eastbound, had 2 inmates and a matron with him, coming back here for court from Larned. An individual made a left-hand turn in front of him, in front of I'm not sure the street name there, by Hillsborough with the Sonic. He ran into the passenger side of the vehicle. Minor injuries to everybody. Our matron spent the night in the hospital, was released late the next day. Everybody is on the road to recovery, no serious lasting injuries. The other occupants of the other car, same. No lasting injuries. The van was totaled through our insurance with K-Camp. I'm scrambling to find a transport van and personnel right now. We have a undersheriff in McPherson transporting today. I've got to send somebody to Scott City tomorrow, or Larned tomorrow again, and Scott City later this week. Did find a van at Midway that would replace and that our equipment will slide right into. It's an 18. Insurance value our van at $16,683. What they were going to write a check for. A new or a used 2018 with under 20,000 miles was $18,500. Difference of $1,817. Total difference between the two. Ours has 39,000. This one has 20,000. The new one. I would like to purchase that. The only difference is the $1,800. The check would come back to cover $16,683 of that.
Equipment, so then you'll have the price of hiring, probably want some hire to slide it over?
We'll have to, we can do the cage, the radio would have to be, somebody would have to install the radio. We've got everything out of the old van and it's ready to go as soon as insurance comes to collect it. We're done with it.
Did you ask the insurance whether they'll pay anything for that, to transfer equipment?
Yes, they said they would.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they will cover that.
Yeah.
Just need to keep track of expenses and cost to do so, and they would cover that.
So he did find a van. Are you good to take that official action and move forward with the purchase of that? And then if so, I have an early check here today for that, which was in your packet.
Which will allow us to get that van and get it back on the road.
So I'll make the motion to go ahead and approve the purchase of the new van for $18,500 to replace something that was wrecked. Do I have a second? Second by Kent. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Yeah, I was pleased with what they were allowing.
Teresa, let's sit there. I didn't want you to church.
I looked at several vans, anywhere from 5,000 miles to 50,000 miles, and the prices range from 17,000 to 20,000, depending on what. But we had to have a specific model that our cage fit in. They had a couple over there that had a little more fancier interior that wouldn't allow our cage to fit in with the overhead stuff.
Everything seems to work pretty good for the van?
The guys, the transport people love it. Very comfortable, very good to drive. It's staying at the same model within a year or so. Interior's the same, so our cage will slide right over.
anything else?
Last thing, I need to discuss a personnel issue with you in executive session.
Okay. Before we do that, we're gonna do the salary change.
Oh, okay,
We have a new part-time corrections officer,
yes,
for $12, Heidi Deal, am I saying that correct?
yes.
For $12 an hour. You have something to say, Tina?
I just have a question.
Okay.
Is that part-time?
Yes.
Okay, salary approved. Yep.
Okay,
More than just a guess of where we're at.
yeah,
Go that way.
yeah, we need to go that way.
Did that motion.
So his executive session is, we'll need the attorney present for that because it's an update on,
Okay.
an investigation basically. And so, I have been in touch with Brad. He can be available by phone, in here in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay,
How long are we looking at?
so, we're ready to move into that now, you think, or do we need to
As soon
hang
as we
out?
get him, we need him on the phone first to be able to go into that executive session with the attorney present. It'll be for attorney-client consultation,
Okay,
so.
so.
Or we can try to set a specific time.
You wanna do a specific time, that Mr. Barker,
Why don't we do that?
You want to do
Maybe
it like
we
at
can-
Yeah, I think-
11:45,
Right.
11:30?
yeah, 11:45?
Sounds good.
Okay.
I don't know how long Mr. Barker,
He's pretty windy.
yeah.
Why don't we go ahead, that's fine with me.
Thanks, Randy.
Mhm.
Anytime.
So we'll see you
Okay,
back
I'll
at
ask him.
11:45.
I'll be here 11:45 then.
Okay.
Unless Tina says no.
Okay.
And also, the radio, the courthouse security, if you hadn't noticed it, it's there.
Well, we did, we didn't know what it was.
It's the
Exactly.
courthouse, part of the courthouse security system that you approved a few months ago, and Tina and I worked on that install last week. Tested every room in the courthouse, the annex, and the, across the street over at planning and zoning. They're all operational. Tomorrow, Tina and I are going to sit down and finish a few details with it, and it'll be in play.
Is this the additional box, or is it?
This is the only box.
Okay, the other one had a case on it. This was the box inside the box, wasn't it?
Right,
Yeah.
the other one's just a kind of a travel show and tell
Yes,
case.
okay,
This
yes,
is
right.
And so that's just the way it's displayed
That's
on
the
the top?
system, that's the system right there.
Wow, okay, the keys just stay there.
We put it here because it has good reception there to the radio signal. It reaches the planning and zoning building, which allows them, when their panic alarm is pressed, it will just go directly over the airwave. And I've notified the chiefs that they will hear something over the airwaves, and they're free to respond if they would like to. Not necessarily asking them for, telling them to, but it would, they would have that information. And I'm sure the city of Marion would, because they're gonna be right here in town, and we will as well. But everybody, all law enforcement in the county would hear that call.
Oh, that's what I was gonna ask, so, that little box, so, how does it trigger?
Each department has a way to activate it.
Well, we still have our standby system, but we're not gonna touch it.
It's probably gonna disappear. The old system, we can discuss that. If you wanna keep a redundant system,
I just wondered.
a separate system, I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the easy button?
How much
Yeah,
is that?
hit
You've been around
big
too
red,
long.
easy,
How much was this system?
makes your life better.
It's a little over, it was over that, like 8 total with everything that we got for it,
8,000?
roughly.
You said it was number 2.
But every department can activate it. It's very good.
And then when it activates, everybody in law enforcement will be sworn in?
Will be notified.
Okay.
And they can decide whether it's something they want to respond to or can respond to, or that everybody will get a notification.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you back. Thank you.
Wait for Mr. Barker.
Mr. Barker.
Don't wait for me. I know you'd rather be out on the road doing something law enforcement related than this stuff. I remember those days. I'm surprised Brad's not here.
I know, I'm disappointed.
Hi, how you doing? Good
Nice to see you.
Hi, Randy, John. Oh, I just came by, you know, my usual, every 6 months or whatever, I come by and just let you know what's going on. You know, the legislature's out of session. When I was judge, the most dangerous time of the year is when the legislature's in session. So we're out of session, that's a good thing. Although we've got interim committees. I was at, last Friday, I was up for the post-audit committee, which I've chaired in the past, but this year it's the senator chairing it. We switch every year. We did a couple of interesting post-audits. Of course, you can always go to the legislative website. On the comma on the left is post-audits. You can pull up all the audits that's been done in the last 10 years there. But the one was interesting on the lobbying for counties and school districts, what they spend a year in lobbying the legislature for more money. So I thought that was interesting. We also talked about a few other issues that probably have little or no effect on the state. Next month, I've got to post the Joint Committee on Pensions for Capers. It's made up of senators and House members, and I've been on it forever. But you know, this year should be a very good year for Capers because, you know, we invest about $16 billion in our trust fund. And always the misconception from the public is that you're taking money out of Capers. Well, you can't take money out of Capers. It's against federal finance laws. But it's the largest generator of revenue for Capers is our trust fund, but it's $16 billion that the trustees manage. Over the last 20 years, you know, we average about 8% a year. But we still do have an unfunded actuarial. An unfunded actuarial is an obligation. We have, I think, 5 funds, and I can go through those with. We have the regular Capers, we have the county and state employees Capers, we have the Kansas Police and Fire Capers, we have the judges Capers. That's 4. Of those, Randy, you kind of look.
We got to take care of our judges.
Well, it's the best fund.
Okay.
It's funded like at 83%, which we consider fully funded, because judges always contributed more than anyone else to their retirement fund. And it's a small, you know, you don't become a judge until you're in your 40s. I was fortunate, I think I was 35 or 36, but normally, and they stay longer. Of course, they must retire at 75, or they can't run for retention after 75. Supreme Court justices at 70. So they work longer. The first one, the regular Capers, and that's what the teachers are in, that has the largest unfunded actuarial because teachers retire early when you have the 85 points. They retire at 56 or 57. And Capers was designed initially to retire at 62 and 65 along with Social Security. The legislature back in the 90s switched it to the 85 points. So suddenly if you start working at 23 out of college, at 57, you can draw your retirement and you get everything that you put into it plus 8% interest 7 years. So suddenly you're 63, you've taken everything out of it that you put in it plus 8% interest, and then that's what caused the unfunded actuarial. We have changed that. Because it was a defined benefit, but we're still struggling with it. We do have a plan to get us out in about 20 years, but the Capers payment is going to be $1 billion by 2020. That's what the state's obligation will be. Agriculture, of course, I'm always interested in agriculture as a farmer and have livestock. It's about 47% of the state economy. You know, we had some good years. We're not having a couple of good years now. I mean, farm income is down from like $100,000 to about 5. The average, I think, is 5. Grain prices are down. Of course, oil and gas was down. That didn't really have that affects. So hopefully we don't get into a trade war with China. There is some money to supplement the farmers for that. It's not that much, though, if you look at it, when you start dividing it nationwide. But hopefully, my beans look good this year. They didn't a couple of months ago, but we got 7 inches of rain, and that really helped. So I think the prices are up. Hopefully, it will go up. And cattle prices are projected to stay just static, at least until November. So we don't know about that. Basically, I'm just here to see if you had questions of me. You know, I've done some things for Dixon County this past year. They came in. They have a 2 mil levy passed about 5 years ago for just bridges and roads, and it was a vote of the people. They approved it. It's ending this coming year. They came in last April and wanted to see if I could help them out, which I did. I mean, it was too late to introduce a bill, but I found a bill out there that I could attach amendment to, and I got it through committee, the tax committee, to allow another vote of the people, and we were going to extend it to 10 years, because the folks had to vote on it. The voters had to, and we got it. I got it through committee, and I carried it on the floor of the House, because the guy that represented to introduce the bill was from Jackson County, or he's a representative from Jackson County, and it was to help Jackson County also, but he didn't want to carry it because he thought it was an increase on taxes. And I said, well, people are voting, it doesn't bother me. They decide their own outcome. And I carried it on the floor, got it passed. Unfortunately, it never made it to a conference committee, so that's another thing that we're trying to work on. School funding, we put $500 million into it this year over the next 3 years. Supreme Court's come out and said it's adequate. They did not address the equity portion, and the Supreme Court, in all of its decisions in the last 30 years, this litigation has been going on, 30, 35 years, is that the Supreme Court doesn't like the equity, because if one school district does a bond issue and passes it, that makes all the other school districts in the state inequitable. So, you know, I don't know how we're ever going to address that. I know the Supreme Court in the decision has always said, you know, we don't like that portion of it. And they did not rule on the equity portion. But if, you know, a large school district like Blue Valley, where 1 mil brings in $1 million or over, passes a 5 mil bond issue, you know, suddenly everybody else surrounding them is inequitable now. So I'm not sure how we'll ever address that. But they did find that we were adequate. They did address one issue on that in that decision, was that we did not address the inflationary factor. My question at the time we worked the bill, and I said, well, I knew we didn't do that, but do we do it on the $500 million, or we do it on the $6.9 billion that we put into education? Big difference between $500 million on inflationary and $6.9 billion on inflation. So I'm not sure how we're going to address that. As part of the leadership team at the legislature, you know, we explore all those options. And of course, we can pass anything with 63 people, and hopefully the Senate will agree. If not, we're nowhere. But other than that, see, I've got the capers, got the ag, I've got the education issues. Of course, one of my better moments was to carry the Eisenhower bill, of course, from Abilene, where we're going to build a statue finally on the Capitol grounds, honoring what I like to say is Kansas's favorite son. Even though he was born in Denton, Texas. They've got a plaque down there. We were going to have a statue. We have a museum. And he was only 6 months old. when he came back to Abilene. His parents were from Abilene and moved there. His father worked on a railroad for about 6 months or whatever. So, but if you have any questions of me, I'll try to answer them.
Well, I do have.
Okay.
You talked about, you mentioned everything except why you're here and who you're here with, and that's the counties. And
Right.
earlier today, we was approached by, and I don't know what other counties have done or anything like that, but this was something done in the 70s, back in 73. We even got a guy back there that has a silver dollar from 1973 that says that was when he got his first car. But anyway, at the same time, we had ad valorem taxes on in the 70s, and we was getting a lot of money from the state.
Yeah.
And is there ever, and they went away back when we first got on, they just kept cutting them down,
Every year they keep.
And so is there any trend to go the other way to help us counties out with ad valorem taxes?
You know, it's been raised every year I've been there. The big opponents to some of that are like the larger counties. Johnson County, who is about, you know, I think as far as sales taxes, it's like 27% of the state total sales taxes come from Johnson County. See, I'm just on the opposite side. I'm trying to fight Johnson County because, as you know, in agriculture, we have an 8-year average on our land prices. Right. It's use value. We passed that in 1977. It's in our Constitution. But there's a lot of folks that want to go to the Nebraska way. And if you're familiar with the Nebraska way, it's not a good way. It will put a lot of farmers out of business, I believe. That's the reason they have more corporate farms because that's a percentage of actual value. Of course, about 4 years ago, you know, I don't know about here, but it was selling land, a heck of a lot higher than it is right now. You know, I saw some land sell for $5,000 an acre, and that's up with land. I mean, it's just, and pasture. Some of them sold was actually pasture. Of course, we've got a correction in the market now, so it's back down, but it's still higher than it was just a few years ago. And that, you know, with the farm economy as bad as it is right now, that's not an area that we need to go into. But you're right, it is raised every year. I like to see some of that, a percentage of it come back. Not all of it, because in the 70s it was quite high.
Yes.
But then again, in the 70s we had a number of other things. We didn't have the expenses that we have. The counties didn't have the expenses they have now. You know, I remember 1982, Dixon County had a sheriff, an undersheriff, and one deputy. And I think Marion County down here had sheriff and undersheriff.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, you know, with your new jail. But you've got a good sheriff, and I like the question you asked about the security of it in case they take over.
Yeah.
You know, that's happened twice this year at the state facilities, Norton and El Dorado.
Right.
And they have a similar system that the sheriff has. And we actually did a post-audit because the press came out and said that the inmates actually took over the facility. Well, they did not. It worked exactly pursuant to their SOP. They got them into the yard. They had guards on it. No one was going to escape. And they just let them burn themselves out until they got hungry and tired. And then they voluntarily went back in because they wanted to eat. So they couldn't have a meal. So, you know, it's very similar to your sheriff's side. You know, he's going to be able to control it. No one will get out. Now, there'll be some damage, and that's to be expected. But we do the same thing, and I know you probably are aware that Dixon County will be doing a new jail facility. And, of course, we're always behind Marion County. You got yours first. But it is a great facility. I've toured it.
Is your sales tax going, is that what it's going to for your building up there?
No, all the sales tax.
Is that going to support the building, the new jail up there?
They tell me it will. They've been putting back a couple of mil for the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's right.
And so with that savings, and they actually saved it, they didn't spend it, that will offset quite a bit of the cost. And if you look at the modernization, the Dix County Courthouse and Jail was built in 1955. We did a renovation probably 15 years ago of the jail facility. And they're gonna renovate the courthouse and then maybe consolidate with Abilene and share services, which is probably a very smart thing to do, or at least share office spaces to share the cost. But the jail facility and the courtroom and the courtrooms, security in courtrooms is getting to be, you know, I remember, I think he mentioned when we used to just have a push button on the bench. And then I always thought, well, okay, we push the button, how long does it take them to get here? And I've actually had people in the courtroom that had guns. So it's nice to see that that Marion County's moving up there. I think Dixon County with the new facility will have that. Okay. But I'll tell you, any other questions, be glad to. If not, I'm going to talk to Roger, who I talk to quite often, and maybe I can talk to him to take me to lunch.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Be back there.
Yeah.
He's got a silver, I know he's got a silver dollar. He showed it to us this morning.
I'll pay for lunch.
But yeah, as always, give me a call.
Well, appreciate you coming around.
Yeah,
Yes.
I always like,
Thank you so much.
when you came up
Yes.
to the legislature this
Uh-huh.
past year,
Yep.
I hope it was productive. You could see quite, well, like at the zoo sometimes. You're always running between committee meetings to committee meetings to committee meetings. And of course, I chair the Fed and State Affairs, so I get all the hot issues. And then last year I chaired the Post Audit Committee. And of course, who knows what I'll be doing next year. You know, we have a new election cycle, and well, we'll probably keep the same speaker, but of course the committee chairs will go out. It's amazing to me that I've done this for 6 years since I retired as judge. And I always tell people it's like jumping from the frying pan into the fire. And it is. But I enjoy part of it. I don't like being in Topeka in January and February when April needs me home, but we've got all that worked out over the years.
Good deal, John.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to see
Call
you
me
again.
anytime. I love coming down here. Especially when I can get Roger to buy me lunch.
I think we need to go find Powers.
I saw Powers earlier. He runs into the courtroom, but I didn't see him. Good to see you, sir. Here. Good to see you, buddy.
Oh, they're ready.
I already did.
Is it, no, I didn't say, I didn't say green.
That's it. That's it.
It's ready and ready.
So we're gonna be going into executive session here pretty soon. And then we have another executive session to go into, and then it looks like we're gonna be reviewing job applications.
What is that?
Job applications? Which ones are they for?
Planning and zoning director.
Okay.
Oh, so probably won't be doing much more.
No.
But I saw
Probably
Bob
not.
Church out here.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's another executive session?
Yeah.
Well, then,
Well then.
Well,
I'm out of here.
Mhm.